It's Thursday night. The Steelers are invading Believe Land.
Baker, Odell, and Jarvis, the stars are here.
I ain't scared.
We got a W coming right up.
God, I hate those Thursday Night Football commercials. Yeah, the last time we met, things have certainly changed since the last time we've seen each other. The Steelers are riding hot right now. They're on a 4-game winning streak right now. And tonight they play the Cleveland Browns on Thursday Night Football. And as I've talked about before, I know the Steelers can probably win this game, but Thursday Night Football on Fox, man, I don't know what it is about Thursday Night Football on Fox, but since they got that package, some of those games feel like they've really been rigged, or they feel like those wouldn't happen if this wasn't being played on Thursday night. It just felt like this game has been etched in my mind for the last couple of months, knowing that this is going to be a Thursday Night Football game, and considering that Fox, this Thursday Night Football, there's just those games that feel like if they weren't on there, they wouldn't have ended up the way they did. Like, there's several instances I can think of that can come back to that point. And yeah, I'm a little stuffed up right now. I got a cold on my way back from Orlando, but bear with me, I can get through this. But like, I'm looking at some of these examples that I have from what happened last year. Like, the fact that Cleveland wins their first game in 2 years against the Jets, which just so happens to be the time when the Bud Light is actually there. They had that thing where every time if they won a game, they had a Bud Light freezer ready to be opened. You think Bud Light was going to pass up on that opportunity? But then there was also Denver blowing out Arizona after Von Miller said they were going to beat them out. And then the undrafted rookie quarterback Nick Mullins came in at the last minute for the 49ers and became a one-game wonders against the Raiders. And then the Cowboys beating a 10-1 Saints team almost 10 years after after the Cowboys stopped another winning streak for the Saints. Just like those moments right there. I'm not saying that I've just had this feeling that Thursday Night Football has been rigged since it got to Fox. Like, with Monday Night Football and Sunday Night Football, you don't really see it, but on Thursday Night Football, it just seems like, I don't know why, but those moments just seem like they're there for teams to get, like, the teams that you wouldn't think would win this game to get that attention. Like, people still want to think that the Cleveland Browns are actually still worth something right now, but they're just not good right now. They have a decent team, but they're just not getting the wins here. And what's the point of having them win a game like this when it's not going to amount to anything in the end? Because I don't really think the Cleveland Browns are going to. I don't even think the Cleveland Browns are going to do anything. I'm trying to think right here, but yeah, I don't think the Cleveland Browns are that good of a football team. I think they have a good team. I actually like Baker Mayfield after what I saw from last year, but this year just isn't working for them. I think the problem is that hiring Freddie Kitchens as a head coach was a bad thing. Not having these guys there in preseason to get together and really examine their craft, like get their thing together. Like Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham didn't play the preseason. That's why they're having stumbles here and there. And just the boasting of, oh, we've got this team. We're going to go to the Super Bowl this year. We're guaranteeing a Super Bowl run. It's just, they're still on this. They are the most overhyped team in the NFL right now. And I can just see Fox and the NFL trying to make it seem like, oh, the Cleveland Browns could come into this game and win it. Because we still want to give you the assumption that this hype is still real. That it's still there. It's just like, it's not going to happen this year. I'm not saying it's not going to happen ever, but not this year. Like, they've had opportunities to do so. They could have and they just couldn't do it. On the other hand, the Steelers right now, they're playing red hot right now. The defense is playing really well. They are getting the job done. And I think that's going to be the main reason if they win this game tonight. It's going to come from them, because I think the offense is still having its stumbles here and there. Mason Rudolph is good right now, but he's not great right now. But then again, his numbers are similar to what Ben Roethlisberger did in his first couple of starts. So, on that level, I think I want the Steelers to win this one. I think they can win this one, but I just have that feeling that the Cleveland Browns are going to somehow pull out a victory here. I just don't know what it is, but the fact that it's on Fox's Thursday Night Football, I just don't know. Like, I'm still going to say the Steelers win this one, but I'm not going to be surprised if Cleveland somehow pulls out a win here and everyone starts re-upping the hype. Like, oh, the Browns are back. Oh, the Browns are back. It's just like, you still got a long way to go before you can make the play. Before you can even have a shot at the playoffs. Right now, the Steelers right now, I think, have the easiest schedule going forward after this. They have a better chance of getting into the playoffs right now. But it's all going to depend on how Baltimore does, because Baltimore right now, I think, is going to hold on to the division right now. Because like, you go to Seattle and you beat them, and then you beat the New England Patriots at home. Yeah, I just don't think the Steelers are going to get that close to the Ravens, unless barring something that happens, like Lamar Jackson gets injured or he falls apart at the second half of the season, which is not uncommon, considering what Baltimore does usually during the second half of the season. But right now, they're just playing too good right now. The Steelers' best chance of getting into the playoffs right now is holding on to that wild card spot they have. They have the 6th one right now, but I think it starts tonight. I think they get a win here, but I'm not going to be surprised if Cleveland somehow pulls out a win, and then we start building that false hype up again that the Browns are back, I think they just get lucky if they do win this one. But I think the Steelers, my gut feeling tells them the Steelers will win tonight. So we will see what happens.
Suspension right here. It's just, I mean, I hate that anybody even has to watch this. This is barbaric, is what this is.
Well, the officials on the field will have nothing to do as far as suspensions or fines, but the league and using video based on the new rule, anytime there's a personal foul, they can get involved with ejection. I don't think we need video here. What a blemish. To end this football game. Great rivalry. It's always heated. We get that. But this crosses the line, and it's just not a good visual for the National Football League.
John, without question, just to be clear here, I understand they wouldn't be asked in terms of what the fine or suspension should be. I'm just asking, would they be asked for any clarity to try to provide a framework of what went on throughout the evening, because there were a number of helmet-to-helmet shots? Is there anything that the league would be looking for where the officiating crew could provide context as far as the night went? That's all I'm asking.
Oh, yeah, I think based on how this game ends, it's going to be dissected for several days, start to finish. Conversations that took on the field, plays that were called, plays that were not called, and then, of course, the end of this football game with the helmet coming off, the assault on the head, Pouncey coming back, kicking and punching. There's a lot of things that they'll spend a great deal amount of time this week dissecting.
John,
Lord.
you saw everything in your career, and I mean,
How stupid can you possibly be?
Because of your level of acumen for what you did. You ever see anything like this in games that you officiated? Anything that rose to this level?
No, we had a playoff game in 2016 with the Steelers and the Bengals. Everybody would recall that.
Sure.
We had a lot of issues in that football game, but nothing rose to the level of ripping off a player's helmet and continuing that action and throwing a punch, using it as a weapon on a football field. No, I've never, in 20 years, I've never seen it.
All right, John, thank you so much for your time and your context. We have Freddie Kitchens live, and we'll hear what the Browns coach has to say.
I want to hear what he has to say right now. Well, needless to say, I told you so. Of course, we could talk about the game itself, but of course, we probably need to talk about what happened at the end of the game. Now, I didn't see what happened at first because, let's be honest, I turned it off after the third interception. I switched it over to the Pitt game on ESPN, and I didn't see what happened at the end of the game. I just heard about it, and then I saw the Twitter feed and all that. But I did actually watch a little bit of what happened afterwards, and, I mean, why not see it for yourself?
Mason Rudolph needs to get out of there. What in the world? Believe Myles Garrett? They'll be swinging a helmet? Yeah, there'll be some ejections.
Yeah, like that right there. This right here, how stupid do you have to be to do something like that? And then that. And then to do something like that. Just ridiculous. Ridiculous on so many levels. I mean, yeah, you saw that right there. And basically, congratulations, Cleveland. You're now the Cincinnati Bengals, pretty much, because that's something Vontaze Burfict would do on there if he was still there. But of course, he's in Oakland and he's suspended. But yeah, there's just no excuse for that. And they won. They won too. And he's doing stupid stuff like that. So he's probably gonna get suspended for the rest of the year. Larry Ogunjobi, I think it is, he might get suspended for a couple of games, and Marquise Pouncey probably will get suspended too for the Steelers, maybe for a couple of games because of what happened, because he kicked a Browns player after that. But yeah, man, I mean, it calls back to what happened during the 2016 wildcard game against the Steelers and the Bengals, and when Burfict hit Antonio Brown, and then after that, the chaos that happened afterwards. But yeah, so there's that, and then do I really even need to say anything about the game itself? Because, wow, that was rough. I mean, that was rough. That was an abortion to watch this game. Like, I thought because Ben Roethlisberger wasn't there, the Steelers wouldn't play down a competition just like they usually do. But man, this was a bad game to watch. Like, this was pathetic. The offense did absolutely nothing. And don't get me wrong, James Conner, Juju Smith-Schuster, Deontay Johnson all got injured. You didn't hear much from James Washington throughout much of the time. But still, you have to at least try. Try to do something. The only time they ever scored points was because of 4 defensive penalties by the Browns in the third quarter. And I mean, I guess you got to give the defense credit because they at least kept it to a 1-possession game at that point. But when you're Mason Rudolph and you're throwing 4 interceptions, including one that gives them an easy touchdown just like that, there's nothing good to take away from this game, and this really hurts the Steelers in a big way. They're now at 5-5. Granted, they have a favorable schedule. They've got Cincinnati, and then they got to play the Browns again next week after that. And then the Cardinals, Bills, Jets, Ravens. But this was a divisional game, and they needed to win this game to keep themselves with the Ravens. But now, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, even the Browns tonight didn't even do that well. Like I would complain about how, like I said before, how these games are rigged and all that, but I mean, the Browns weren't bad tonight, but they weren't great either. There were still things about them that they didn't do well, but as I'm looking at my battery right here, I'll make this quick, but there were times tonight where they weren't that great, but when they had to make the big plays, they made them, and that's how they got the points that they did. And look, I know that this whole game is gonna get it's gonna get overlooked by what happened at the end, but this was just a bad game on so many levels. It not only gives the Browns an edge going into to these next couple of weeks where they have some false hope, because I still don't think they make the playoffs, but it hurts the Steelers in a big way because you have to win these divisional games to stick in it, because now Oakland's probably going to win a game this weekend. They got the Bengals coming in. And then, who else do they have? Who else? The Colts are still in it. Tennessee's still in it. They're on the bye week, but I mean, it's not looking good for them right now. Hopefully they can turn it around next week, but the coaches need to do a better job of making these moves better. Like, they got to make the offense has got to get better. And hopefully Juju and James Conner aren't out for too long. Basically what I'm trying to say is they need help, man. They need a lot of help going forward, and this loss is probably going to hurt them in the end. I really don't think that this is going to help them out when it's all said and done, but yeah, this was just not a good night at all. Not a good night at all, and I guess the positive is that it's Thursday night. Get a couple of days to relax, but the good news is that Mason Rudolph has actually looked like he was okay. Like, he didn't get he didn't have that scary injury he had against the Ravens. In fact, he's on the TV right now talking to people about what happened. And yeah, this was just not a good night at all. So get a couple of days to really think it over, and then you got to get better next week, because you cannot lose to the Bengals, especially if they lose this weekend to the Raiders. Especially at that point, you do not want to lose to a winless football team like the Bengals. Like, all hell will probably break loose if that happens. But hopefully it doesn't.